Welcome back to COLUMBUSCAST, the podcast series on all things business transformation and improving customer experience, brought to you by the digital transformation consultancy Columbus. Today I am joined by managed services specialist Glen Bignall, and we are going to talk about the importance of Evergreen. So Glen, do you want to quickly introduce yourself? Because I don't think our audience has met you before.
Yeah, sure. So I'm Glen. I've been at Columbus now for just approaching 10 years and spent the majority of that time working with our customers in a life after live basis.
Lovely. Thanks, Glen. So let's kick things off by discussing what is Evergreen.
It can mean all sorts of things to most people, but in the way that we would term Evergreen is effectively Microsoft's vision, and it's certainly what's happening out there at the minute, of getting everybody that's using D365 on the same version of the software. So it's a process of continual updates, making sure that people no longer have to go through that big bang approach from a legacy ERP solution to a new version. It's a series of incremental updates that are released throughout the year.
So these periodic updates, tell us a bit more about how challenging they must be to do that and why Evergreen is better in that respect.
Is Evergreen better, I suppose, is the first question. And yes, because we all know that going through an upgrade process from an older version of a solution to a newer version of a solution can be a mammoth task. It can be a significant project. The idea behind Evergreen and the way that we would use it and the way that we would apply it for our customers is to make sure that we're taking small incremental steps. So to manage that process can be really, really simple and straightforward. We encourage our customers to stay as close to standard as possible with their solution. That being the case, you should be able to take every incremental update that Microsoft release. Now, as a business, you might think that puts too great an overhead on your team, because there are
things to analyze, right? Release notes to read, and
absolutely, and there are eight releases a year, and you might just not want to take all of those. But it's key that you take three, an absolute minimum of three per year, and that's so that you can stay compliant and up to date. Your solution is never unsupported in Microsoft terms if you're taking the three at regular periods throughout the year. And making sure that you're working with the right kind of partner who can provide you with the services and the backup that you need to simplify that process for you.
We'll talk about the partner bit in a second, but I was going to ask, how regular are we talking? How regularly does Microsoft release these updates?
So there are two major releases a year. If we say, 6 months apart, April and October, something like that. And then there are other updates in between. So you need to decide as a business, working with your consultancy team, working with your internal team and your external partners, whether you take the major release when it comes out, or do you take one of the incremental releases afterwards that would contain the major release? Do you want to be one of the first people on the cutting edge, as it were, or do you want to be taking it once other people have had a chance to adopt that, test that, get it in and working with their solutions?
Which is better? Or does it just entirely depend on the business?
Entirely depends on your business, the size of your team, the processes and procedures you've got in place. To an extent, your appetite for risk, I suppose. If you always want to be on the cutting edge, if you always want to be leading, and you want to take every single version, then do so. But you've got to make sure that you've got the right process and procedures in place to test each release before it goes in. Make sure it does work with any enhancements that you've got, any third parties that you've got, and make sure that your users, your key users, are available to do the relevant testing and approve that before it goes live.
So testing, if we pick up on that topic, why is testing so important?
Yeah, why would testing not be important? And I guess that everybody wants to make sure that when they go live on a new solution, whether it's an incremental update or a bigger update that comes in, that they get no problems in their factory, their workshop, the rest of their business. They want to make sure that every function is just going to operate completely smoothly. Your update comes in, you go live, the users notice no difference. There might be some new functionality that you can then roll out some training for and all of that kind of good stuff. But you want to make sure that the process is simple, and you can only make sure that the process is simple, stable, and straightforward if you do the required amount of testing.
What is the required amount of testing?
Required amount of testing is the amount that you need to do
as a piece of string.
for you to be comfortable. You as a business need to be comfortable that it's not going to cause you a problem.
Yeah.
Now, if you're going to go and just do manual testing, then you might say, well, I've got a team of people in all these different business areas, and I'm going to give them a week to test their parts of the solution from start to finish. Great. You might think that's enough. You might be happy with that. You might be happy with the results of that, and you could sign that off and you could pass it through. You might want to use one of the automated testing suites and build some automated regression tests so that you can apply the updates and just put all of your standard process and procedures straight through an automated testing regression suite, I guess, and then do some manual testing for the absolutely key pieces of functionality that you need.
Yeah.
There are lots of different ways to do it, and there are lots of different packages available that are there to simplify the process and give people more confidence.
So Glen, tell me, what are the consequences of not being evergreen?
There are several, really. And first off, I don't really understand why, if you've gone to all the effort of getting onto a platform, an ERP platform like D365, you've gone through the process of an upgrade or from a legacy version or an implementation
all that change
of D365. You've gone through change management, you've redocumented all your processes, you've realigned your business strategies to get onto an evergreen solution. Why would you not stay compliant? Because you wouldn't want to go through that upgrade process again. You wouldn't want to go through a fresh implementation of an ERP solution. So I guess the first answer is why not? Why would you not want to be compliant? The second answer is you're losing the ability to stay up to date with latest function and features. You're not taking the latest security patches that are available as part of your ERP solution. So you're introducing risk. You're introducing potential security issues. You're not keeping up to date with latest features and functionality, as we've just said. And once you've gone past a certain number of releases, once you've not taken a certain number of releases, your software becomes effectively, in Microsoft terms, unsupported. And if you're on an unsupported version of the solution and you have a problem and it requires help from the software vendor, then the software vendor, one of the first things they're going to say is get on a compliant version of the solution. So you're going to have to take that anyway. Okay, you can push it back for certain circumstances, and you can push it back for a short while, but you should be looking to stay compliant all the time, because you want to make sure that you are as secure as possible. You want to make sure that you've got all the enhancements that and performance enhancements that could be in later releases of the software. You're going to want the extra features and functionality. So my question, I guess, would be why not? Why would you not want to be compliant?
Yeah, and I guess if you've put off updating for that amount of time, it must be more effort to try and get it back up to date, right? Because then it's like,
the longer you leave it, the bigger the project is going to be.
Yeah.
If you're taking the regular incremental updates, if you're taking, like we spoke earlier about, just taking, let's take the 3, for instance. You take 3, got 3 times a year where you're doing a mini project. You get the right solutions in the background with your bring in some automated testing, look at release management packages, look at how you can have a secure update service. And you could do all of those things internally, or you can work with a partner to buy those services in and get somebody running that for you and for your business. Now, why? Why would you not take advantage of that?
Yeah, that's a fair question. I guess maybe do some businesses see updates as time consuming?
Yeah, and I guess if you're going to do everything in house and you're not used to doing that, and you haven't got a team of people that are focused on that 100% of the time, and it's not their job day in day out, they've got other jobs to do. They're more important to the business in different key areas. Then yeah, it's time consuming and it's awkward and it's going to take up time of key members of staff when you might least want it to.
Yeah.
So, which is where the value of a true partner who has those services that you can buy off the shelf, that get to know your business inside out, understand the way your business works, understand how important that having this stable solution is, and they work with you to make sure that they build in the right level of testing. They can run the releases in the way that you need them. They can work with your ISV partners, and they can just remove all of that headache. You don't need as a business running D365, you don't need to be talking to 5 different ISV partners and then worrying about whether any minor mods that you have brought into your solution are going to work. You want to just pass that over and make sure that somebody else can run that process for you.
And that's another thing, isn't it? You said if you have multiple ISV partners, did you say, to speak to, that's the communication's all over the place, isn't it? Because you ideally want to unify that, have one single point of contact, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. If you as the the CIO or the ERP manager want to make sure that you're on the latest version, then you want to be talking to somebody on the other side of the fence who can tell you where you're going to get the greatest benefit from the latest release. What's in it for you? Are there any new features and functionality in this next release that are going to be useful for us as a business, because your partner that you're working with understand how you work, and they understand the areas that you would like to see improvements in. So work with them and remove that headache. If you get the opportunity then, because Microsoft have done something wonderful like release some new functionality, if you get the opportunity to remove an ISV or remove a modification, you can do that. Let's simplify the process all the time. Simplify it, make it a more straightforward process, make it seamless.
IT teams have enough on their plate anyway, don't they? You might as well try and simplify this thing.
Why would you want your key staff tied up in an incremental update process when they could be getting on and adding value to your business?
Yeah, that's a good question. So how do we become evergreen? How do we maintain that status?
It's something that every user, every customer can achieve, and you can achieve it in different ways. So you can either take on all the tasks that are required in-house, and any IT team could do that if they wanted to.
Do many businesses do that, out of curiosity, in your experience?
Not completely, no. The vast majority of people will work with a partner to ensure that they have a service that will help them make that process simpler. The reality is that there are, as we mentioned earlier on, that there are 3 key services really that will help you simplify this whole process. So to Secure Update as a service, and this is something that you're going to have to perform yourself if you don't buy a service from your managed services partner. All managed services partners should be offering a service like this, and if they're not, obviously, there are other people out there that do. So Secure Update is really, it's an advisory service first and foremost. It's a case of your partner should be looking through the release notes that are available from Microsoft. They should be tailoring them to the way that your business is working, to the solution that you've got in your environment, and highlighting to you what that process will be for you. What is this release going to give to you? And the Secure Update process will take you through that step by step. It will take those release notes. It will tailor them to your specific business needs. It will tell you what the impact of those are going to be, and it will highlight what the risks are going to be for you as a business. So it takes all that worry away from you as an end user, as a customer. It will explain any new functionality that is available to you, and then it will give the structure around the release to make it predictable. And that's exactly what you want. If you can have that confidence and have all that knowledge up front, then that's great, isn't it? Surely.
Yeah, definitely. And another one you mentioned, I think, was release management.
Release management is the bridge between all of your ISVs, between your new solution, which is it's the latest release from Microsoft, and your old solution. It's the management of the whole process. It's the glue that sticks everything together. It's the piece that makes sure that all the other key tasks are done. It's the bit that makes sure that you've got the right stakeholder agreements in place. It's the bit that makes sure that the release is not going to clash with any other key business initiatives going on at the same time. It's the bit that removes the risk, if you like. So you've got your secure update piece, which is kind of the technical and advisory piece. You've got your release management piece, which is your people piece in reality. And it's giving and sharing that in-depth technical knowledge and understanding of the overall solution to make sure that your business goes from a state of release 1 through a testing process, through that latest release to a brand new release with no hiccups for your business. That's what release management is in a nutshell.
So really, to state the obvious, it is literally managing the release process, isn't it? Making it smoother, like you said, so it happens without hiccups. Managing
the process, not only technically, but managing the people in the process as well.
So that's a key piece.
Absolutely vital. Absolutely vital.
And finally, automated testing.
Yeah. So you've done your secure update. You've got your release management piece in place. So what's the real key missing part of this triumvirate, I suppose, is your testing. Now, if you've got the ability to automate that testing, that's going to simplify your process, make it more repeatable, make it more predictable. Repeatable and predictable is good because that gives you the ability to go with, again, minimizing risk. Minimizing risk is the key to all of these things. So the first thing we would do as a partner, the first thing Columbus would do as a partner is identify what the correct toolset is. There are lots of different toolsets out there, and it depends what your solution's made up of. If it's entirely D365 finance and operations, then RSET might be the right solution. If it's not, and you've got CE involved, you've got a commerce platform, you've got complex integrations, there are other solutions out there that can either work with RSAT or can replace RSAT as your testing tool.
By RSAT, do you mean the one that Columbus provides?
RSAT is part of the D365 solution.
Oh, okay.
So that's available to everybody. Everybody can use that. What we would provide is a service where we help you identify your key processes and help you build a series of tests manually to start with. You make them repeatable. You make sure that you can understand what the results should be, so you've got your pass-fail criteria. You understand where your interfaces and integrations are going to come into it, so you understand where the pass-off points are to other solutions. You make sure you've got the right tool, as we mentioned earlier, and you build your suite of tests then into automatic tests. Then you can build them into a suite of tests that you can use as regression tests, so they're repeatable. You can run that regression suite whenever you need to run that regression suite to check whether it might be an enhancement that you want to release internally, whether it might be a change that you want to release internally, or whether it be as part of your Evergreen secure update release management piece to make sure that your solution is evergreen as part of your regular cycle. There are all sorts of ways of doing that, But every time you get a new release, every time you get a new piece of functionality that you want to take on board, you've got to make sure that you're managing those regression suites properly, managing your testing suites properly, and making sure that they're updated. Because let's not forget that these things they're not static pieces of tests. The same test is not going to work exactly for every time for every release, because there might be something that comes in there in terms of functionality that interacts with that or interrupts that process. Mm-hmm. So you want to make sure that you're working with somebody that can build that into their solution, the solution that they're offering for you.
So these tests are custom then?
They're absolutely custom. Mm-hmm. They're custom to your business's key requirements. Mm-hmm. They're custom to your business's key processes. They're then enhanced, manipulated, maintained, if you like, for every single release that comes through. So it's not a build once, stick in a drawer, pull out again the next time and run them again. It won't quite work that simply. But once you've built them, it should just be a minor tweak so you can release them, so you can run them again for your next release. Yeah. And what's nicer than knowing that, after a key business period or whatever, you want to run a regression suite over the weekend. Once you've got your tests built up, you can take them and you can run them whenever you want. And you can build those internally, in-house, or you can buy that as a service from your managed services partner. It should be something that everybody's offering.
The three things that you mentioned: secure update, release management, and automated testing.
Yeah, we would call them our evergreen processes. In reality, at Columbus, that's what we advise all of our customers to take. It gives them the security, it gives them the comfort, it minimizes the risk, it minimizes downtime, and it means they can take whichever enhancements they want, whenever they want, and whichever releases they need.
It ultimately answers the question that we were asked in the beginning: why is it so important? Why would you not want to be evergreen? Right?
Absolutely. Why wouldn't you? Let's be on the latest version. Let's make sure that you've got a plan to be on the versions that you want to be on. Make sure your solution is compliant, and let's move forward.
And that's one of the ways you can get more out of your ERP investment, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. That's what it's all about, isn't it?
Definitely. Thank you very much, Glenn, for that breakdown into what is Evergreen. Thank you very much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.